guys, it's Emma. Today I have a book review on Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. This was written in the 1920s and it takes place through the course of just one day, and it's about this woman named Mrs. Dalloway. She's hosting a party in the evening, and it's basically about the events that go from the morning all the way up until the party at the end. But it doesn't just focus on Mrs. Dalloway. It's actually third person perspective, and it's omniscient, so you get a bunch of different perspectives from a whole bunch of different people of their lives throughout the day in London. And at first it didn't seem like any of it connected and none of it really made sense, but at the end, when the party finally does happen, you realize some of the things that you read earlier are starting to kind of come together. And yeah, so overall I gave this story a 4 out of 5. It's my first Virginia Woolf novel, and I really enjoyed it. It was a very refreshing writing style, because I've been reading a lot of modern day books, and there really is such a difference in like older writing versus newer writing. This type of writing style was very unique because it was a stream of conscious thoughts. So you're third person and you go from character to character pretty much seamlessly through these just random thoughts, and as the characters think back, flashbacks about who they used to hang out with in the country and just other events in their lives. All of these people are connected through the third-person narrator, which is narrating the story to you, so you know that all these people are connected in some way, but they don't. So it's kind of interesting to read that. It took a while for me to get into it, mainly because I wasn't used to this kind of writing style before, but towards the end I finally kind of got used to it, and I was like, okay, this is I can read this fairly easily now. And this book, it has no chapters in it, but it does have a few like scene breaks where there's like a bunch of spaces between paragraphs, but there's no chapters, so it's really hard to read it all in one go, because it really is just a stream of thoughts that goes on and on throughout the whole day through all these different people. So if you kind of stop in the middle of it, then it's like you're stopping, when someone interrupts your thoughts, it's kind of what it is. But once you start reading into it, it's like as if these are your own thoughts. Well, not really, but it's like, I don't know, it's like just a stream of thoughts. So it's really hard to find a break in that, because when you're thinking, you don't really just turn off your thoughts. You just keep thinking of things, as you're thinking, maybe something you thought of reminds you of a time when so-and-so, and then that reminds you of something else, and blah blah blah. So that's kind of what this is like. So I can understand why there's no chapters in it, because you can't really do that with just a stream of thoughts. But because there's no chapter breaks, it's kind of hard to find a place to pause, and especially at night. I'd mostly read it at night before I went to bed, and then try to pick it up again the next day. I'd have to kind of reread what I previously read to get back into it. I couldn't just jump into it again. And for this particular edition, I really liked it because it has an introduction essay in the beginning, and then it has these annotated notes like at the back, and basically it helps you understand what's going on in the story more so, mainly by explaining to you what Virginia Woolf was doing or thinking like when she was writing it. Obviously not literally, because they never know that, but for example, there might be something in the story, like a name of something, and there would be a number next to it, and you go look at the number and it says this was actually a place in Virginia Woolf's life that her and her husband visited, for parties, so she included it, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of cool. It's like it's giving you like a historical kind of background or context for, when the story was actually written, and like the author's context when she was writing it. So it was really cool. And then yeah, the essay at the beginning is basically about the story itself, and the themes in it and the motifs and stuff like that. And so it was helpful to read, because for me, I didn't quite know really what the story was about, and I still don't really know, but the essay thing definitely really did help, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to reread it again to get the full effect of it. One thing that I really liked about this book was that it left me, as a writer, being more inspired to write and to try a new writing style, which is the stream of conscious thought thing that I was talking about earlier, because I've never really written a story like that before. It's always, and a lot of stories like that today are just basically a narration of events that are going on. Like, she did this is what she thought, she reacted to this, he said that, blah blah blah. Like, it's not really that deep. I don't know if that's the right word, but I don't know, it's really shallow writing, whereas this really goes right into the characters' like minds and what they're thinking and their opinions of this. and their memories and stuff. I don't know, it was just a really different kind of read, and the writing style was very different. So it kind of has inspired me. I want to try writing that way at some point. I always bark at nothing. Okay, but yeah, so that's one thing that this book did for me as a writer, was it kind of left that impression of, you know, inspired me to write differently and to look at my writing in a different way. So that was pretty helpful. However, in terms of recommending this book, I know it will not be for everyone because it can be kind of difficult, just the writing style itself. Some people may find it really dull and really boring. Like, it basically is just huge chunks of text. There's like no, you probably can't even see that, but there's like no real dialogue in it. It's just chunks of text and huge paragraphs. And I know that may sound really daunting to some people. It might not be for everyone, but if you have never read Virginia Woolf, I definitely would recommend it because it was my first Virginia Woolf book, and I look forward to reading more of her stuff. So going with the book, it says on the front here, there's a sticker, it says, "As featured in the film The Hours, starring Nicole Kidman as Virginia Woolf." I was like, wow, there's a movie too. So I watched that last night with my family, and it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna do a movie comparison review now. So the movie The Hours got a lot of big name actors in it. You got Meryl Streep, you've got Nicole Kidman, you've got Ed Harris, Julianne Moore, Claire Danes, and Eileen Atkins. So there's quite a few big name, you know, actors in this movie, which I'd never heard of it before though, but it was pretty good. I really liked it. It was a very well done movie. It may seem a bit depressing though at the end. Just overall, it doesn't leave you with, you know, happy feeling or anything. Like it's kind of a heavy film, and quite dramatic too in some parts. And it was a very interesting take on the book because it's got three different time periods going on. You've got one in the 1920s, which is Virginia Woolf as she's writing the book. So that's Nicole Kidman. She plays Virginia Woolf. So you've got her. You get to see her and how she thinks of writing the book. Then you got a scene in 1951 going on with a mother and her husband and her son, and then she's reading the book, Mrs. Dalloway, in 1951, and it's kind of about the effects that it has on her. And then you've got one modern day with Meryl Streep as Clarissa Vaughn, but she keeps being referred to as Mrs. Dalloway by this guy. I'm not really going to say much else, but it was really interesting. So she's kind of the Mrs. Dalloway in the whole story, Meryl Streep. And it's interesting because Mrs. Dalloway is in modern times as opposed to in the 1920s when it actually was set. So I really liked how it was kind of split up into these three different timelines, and in the end they all kind of come together some way. And I really liked the characters they had in the movie. They used the same names as the characters in the book, but they kind of had different roles in the movie. I don't really want to go into details about that either, but so that was a really interesting take on the characters themselves. Like the book, some things confused me in the movie. There's still some unanswered questions that I have, but again, after I reread the book, I'll rewatch the film again, and maybe that'll help me to, you know, fill in those loose ends. So yeah, overall, I recommend definitely Mrs. Dalloway, the book, and the movie, The Hours. It was a very interesting movie and a very, very unique take on the book. So yeah, it was really cool to watch the movie right after I just finished reading the book. So if you have read Mrs. Dalloway or watched The Hours or done both, you know, please let me know what you think, and also just your thoughts on Virginia Woolf in general and anything else you recommend by her, because I definitely want to read more of her. And yeah, that's it basically. So thank you for watching.